More silliness in Britain. Nigel Farage has been trying to make a series of documentaries. As you know, a great friend of this show here, Nigel Farage has been trying to make documentaries about all the illegal immigrants still pouring into Britain, despite Brexit, despite Boris and all the rest. They're still pouring in with the assistance of the Coast Guard there in Britain. But, of course, Nigel Farage gets arrested for breaking the lockdown. Have a little bit of a look at this.
I've no idea what the health status in terms of the virus is of any of these people coming in. The Border Force is supposed to protect our borders, not be a taxi service for illegal immigrants, and yet that's what the Home Office are telling them to do.
He then got a talking to by the police. We got that there? No, there. OK, so the police then rounded him up and said, oh, you know, you've been breaking lockdown, you've been breaking the curfew. It's just extraordinary. Ted Cruz as well, James, thinks that part of the lockdown is completely crazing, or a certain one aspect of it, certainly.
Well, yeah, I love this story. In Texas, there was a city council that decided that calling the Wuhan coronavirus the Chinese virus, they decided that they would call it a hate speech term. And so Ted Cruz, former presidential candidate in 2016, senatorial candidate, came out, slammed this, called it in no uncertain terms nuts. And I think that he was completely correct for that. You should be able to call the thing whatever you want, just like you can call, you know, Ross River fever or Lyme disease or Ebola after the places that they came from. It's just science.
So you mentioned authoritarianism. So in Britain, where the police should be stopping the illegal immigrants, they're stopping people reporting on them. In America, rather than looking out for, you know, making sure that people are safe, the police are running around and telling them what words they can and cannot use. We have certainly entered an Orwellian era, Rita, and we've also entered a kind of James Bond era. I mentioned last week about two Russian doctors who'd mysteriously been fallen out of hospital windows in Russia because they were linked to the aspects of the coronavirus. A third Russian fell out of a window this week. It seems to be catching. If you're a doctor in Russia, be very careful and don't stand close to any windows, particularly if you're anything to do with coronavirus. And James, tell us about the murder-suicide, this is very James Bond, of a Chinese doctor in America working on the coronavirus.
Yeah, this is another bizarre case that, well, as you say, there was this doctor who was working on the coronavirus in the U.S., and he seems to have been involved in a bizarre murder-suicide. And the bizarre thing is that they say he was on the verge of some new findings about the origin of the virus and what it's made of, and suddenly this happens to him. So, of course, a lot of people are wondering if there's something else cloak and dagger going on here, given the virus's origins.
And James, just quickly before we go to a break, tell us about Kayleigh McEnany.
This is fantastic. I talked before about how much of the media had been denying the coronavirus and now trying to blame it on Trump not being aware of the coronavirus. Have a look at the new White House press secretary, and she delivers a bit of a riposte to the assembled reporters. This is great stuff.
I guess I would turn the question back on the media and ask similar questions. Does Vox want to take back that they proclaimed that the coronavirus would not be a deadly pandemic? Does the Washington Post want to take back that they told Americans to get a grip, the flu is bigger than the coronavirus? Does the Washington Post likewise want to take back that our brains are causing us to exaggerate the threat of the coronavirus? Does the New York Times want to take back that fear of the virus may be spreading faster than the virus itself? Does NPR want to take back that the flu was a much bigger threat than the coronavirus? And finally, once again, the Washington Post, would they like to take back that the government should not respond aggressively to the coronavirus? I'll leave you with those questions, and maybe you'll have some answers in a few days.
She is fantastic.